Pancreatitis, it is an acute condition presenting with abdominal pain, and also there is a threefold increasing in the serum levels of pancreatic enzymes like amylase and lipase, and there is a characteristic findings of pancreatic inflammation on the contrast CT. And the acute pancreatitis, it may and the incidence it is accounts for about 3% of the all cases of the abdominal pain. The hospital admission rate, it is around 9.8 per year per 1 lakh population. The annual incidence of acute pancreatitis, it is around 5 to 50 per 1 lakh population, and it occurs at any age, and it peak incidence is seen in young men and older women. And there are two major causes of the acute pancreatitis includes the biliary calculi. It accounts for about 50 to 70% of the patients, and alcohol abuse, it is accounts for about 25% of the cases. The other causes of the acute pancreatitis includes iatrogenic like post ERCP, abdominal trauma following biliary and upper gastrointestinal or cardiothoracic surgery, and in case of periampullary carcinomas also it is seen. And it is seen in some drugs associated with acute pancreatitis are corticosteroids, azothioprine, valproic acid, thiazides, and it is seen in some patients with hyperparathyroidism. And there is autoimmune and hereditary pancreatitis, and viral infections like mumps and coxsackie also causes acute pancreatitis, and it is also seen in scorpion bite in some cases. The gallstone pancreatitis, it is due to the passage of gallstones down the common bile duct. Uh, it is seen in some cases where biliary and pancreatic duct joins and form a common channel, and before ending at the ampulla. Because of the obstruction of this common channel, there is a reflux of bile into the pancreas that leads to the activation of the pancreatic enzymes. It is seen in patients with uh, wide cystic duct and small gallstones. There is high risk of passing stones. And the alcohol induced pancreatitis, it is mostly it causes recurrent acute pancreatitis, and it also leads to the development of the chronic pancreatitis. Ethanol, it is a metabolic toxin to the pancreatic acinar cells, and it causes increase in secretion of the pancreatic enzymes followed by the inhibition. This secretory burst coupled with ethanol induces spasm of the sphincter 4D. It initiates the process of the acute pancreatitis. The ethanol also increases the protein content of the pancreatic juice, which forms protein plaques that may cause the obstruction of the pancreatic outflow. And post ERCP, it is seen in around 5 to 10% of the procedures. It is due to the duct disruption and enzyme extravasation. Uh, Patients with sphincter dysfunction and the history of recurrent pancreatitis and post sphincterotomy patients are at high risk for developing the acute pancreatitis after ERCP. The other causes includes hypercalcemia arising from the hyperparathyroidism. It is due to the hypersecretion and formation of the calcified stones. Scorpion venom, increase it causes neurotransmitter discharge from the cholinergic nerve terminals, leading to the massive production of the pancreatic juice. Hereditary pancreatitis, it is autosomal dominant disease. It is due to the mutations in the cationic trypsinogen gene. And some tumors at the ampulla of the water also causes acute pancreatitis. It is around 1 to 2%. The pathophysiology, it includes there is activation of the pancreatic enzymes within the pancreas that leads to the autodigestion of the pancreas. In injury to the acinar cell, it impairs the secretion of the zymogen granules that causes damages the duct epithelium, that delays the enzymatic secretion, and that triggers acute pancreatitis. Once cellular injury has been initiated, the inflammatory process can lead to the pancreatic edema, hemorrhage, and in last necrosis. And there is injury to the acinar cells. that leads to the activation of the zymogen granules that releases inflammatory mediators. These inflammatory mediators causes injury to the pancreas that leads to the ischemia and necrosis. And these mediators also released into the circulation that causes systemic inflammatory response and multi-organ failure.
Okay, stop here.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Dr. Ramakrishna makes a very interesting point.
Yes, sir.
There is a dichotomy between the Western population and Indian population.
Yes, sir.
What is the more common cause for acute pancreatitis in India compared to the West? What statistics you have given is for the Western population.
Yes, sir.
So what is it in India?
Alcohol induces, sir.
Yeah, I think that is right. Alcohol-induced pancreatitis is more common in India,
Yes, sir.
but maybe the gallstone pancreatitis is now catching up because Indians have the dubious distinction of being most the diabetic capital of the world and becoming the obesity capital of the world also.
Yes,
So
sir.
there is increased incidence of gallstones and consequently there is also increased incidence of gallstone pancreatitis. Dr. Shivram, what is your view, sir?
Agree. It depends also on where you practice.
Correct. Yes.
If you go to North India,
Yeah.
also in super specialty hospitals and all, biliary pancreatitis is more common. In a government setup and a missionary hospital, I was in Saint Philomena's, we used to see plenty of alcohol pancreatitis, but
Yes.
now we don't see much.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you see the world literature, it is a biliary pancreatitis, which is
Correct.
more common here.
More common.
What she has told.
In India, I think Ramakrishna also makes a good point that alcoholic pancreatitis is probably more common. Again, that again reflects the area you are practicing in. Other thing is, Dr. Nooli wanted to know how scorpion bite causes acute pancreatitis. I think Indraja has already, answered that question. Indraja, do you want to elaborate on that?
So, scorpion bite, it increases the cholinergic secretion, sir, that stimulates
Ah,
pancreatic secretion.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
So that
Not all scorpion bites. Few specific scorpion bites only cause pancreatitis. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
okay. Any other questions or clarifications? Okay, continue, ma.
Okay, sir. And in acute pancreatitis, pain is the main cardinal symptom, and it is sudden onset pain with reaching maximum intensity within minutes, and it persists for hours. It is a boring type of pain, first seen in the epigastrium, and it is later it is become diffused throughout the abdomen, and it radiates to the back around 50% of the patients, and it is again relieved by sitting or leaning forwards. The pancreatic pain, it mimics the pain in perforated peptic ulcer or acute cholecystitis. The radiation to the chest, it also simulates myocardial infarction and pleuritic pain. And other symptoms include nausea, repeated vomiting and retching, and hiccups are also due to the irritation of the diaphragm. On examination, the patient is well or sick look or with a profound shock, and there is tachypnea and tachycardia is also present, and the mild icterus present in cases of biliary obstruction in gallstone pancreatitis. Abdominal distension is present due to the ileus or due to the ascites, and there is usually muscle guarding in the upper abdomen. And in some patients, pleural effusion is present around 10 to 20% of the patients. And in severe cases, there is pulmonary edema and pneumonitis.
Just a minute, ma.
Yes, sir.
Can you elaborate on Dr. Ramakrishna asked a question
Yes, sir.
about why do you get pancreatitis in pancreas divisum or sometimes even in annular pancreas?
So,
Dr. Ramakrishna? Sir, ನೀವೇ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡಿ sir. Any PGs? Any PGs want to answer that question?
Sir, sir, because of the obstruction, sir, because there will be obstruction to the flow of pancreatic juice. That's why.
That is usually in annular pancreas, but why in pancreas divisum?
Sir, actually, the pancreatic divisum is caused by that because of congenital abnormality where the duct exchange does not happen. The minor pancreatic duct keeps on draining the body and tail of pancreas, which is the site of maximum secretion of pancreatic juice.
Correct.
So because the minor pancreatic duct is draining maximum amount of juice, it is not adequate enough to drain, so it ends up with recurrent pancreatitis.
Okay, good, correct. That's the right answer. Well done. Okay.
Indraja?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Shivaram wanted to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
PGs, in terms of clinical presentation, what is the difference between acute pancreatitis and chronic pancreatitis? Any PGs, can you answer, please? It's clinical symptomatology only. Nobody to answer that question? How do you differentiate clinically whether this is acute pancreatitis or chronic pancreatitis? Saurav?
So the pain, it will be recent onset, which the severity will be more, sir.
Okay. What else?
And
what kind of pain do you have in chronic pancreatitis?
so it will be dull aching, continuous type of pain.
Correct.
While in case of acute, it will be shooting pain, shooting, pricking type of pain, sir.
Lord Moynihan described acute pancreatitis pain as illimitable agony. So it is very
Yes, sir.
severe pain which radiates to the back. In chronic pancreatitis is dull aching, which may be exaggerated postprandially. Postprandially, because many times there will be ductal obstruction. Can you please mute this one? I think there is some disturbance.
Yes, sir. I'm muting, sir. I'm muting it.
Yeah. So in chronic pancreatitis, because there is many times pancreatic calcification, stones in the pancreatic duct, dilated pancreatic duct, and pancreatic calcification also. And postprandially, when the pancreatic juice is trying to flow, because there is ductal obstruction, there is increased pressure in the duct, so you get postprandial exaggeration of the pain. So that is, and usually you know, and obviously patients are scared to eat in chronic pancreatitis. They may have lost weight.
Weight loss.
There will be steatorrhea because the pancreatic juices are not produced, effectively, and there is malabsorption fat. So there will be, foul-smelling, greasy stools with the steatorrhea and also weight loss and signs of malnutrition in chronic pancreatitis. Dr. Shivaram, do you want to add anything, sir?
So most of the PGs get confused with acute pancreatitis and chronic pancreatitis. So Indraja, whether acute pancreatitis can go for chronic pancreatitis or will it go?
Indraja?
Yes, sir. It can, if there is necrosis of the pancreas, then.
No. I think Dr. Shivaram's question is very specific. Ajit, do you want to answer that? Can
Yes, sir,
acute can acute pancreatitis go to chronic pancreatitis?
Yes, sir. Because of once it is treated conservatively in first setting, it can recur, and so it can go into chronic pancreatitis.
So that is, if the insult or the initiating factor, especially alcohol or untreated hypercalcemia or untreated hyperlipoproteinemia, or where there is recurrent
Congenital,
cause,
sir.
congenital. So where
Yes.
there is in a cause that has not been addressed, then you can have recurrent acute pancreatitis, which can later lead to go on to chronic pancreatitis. Alcohol is probably the commonest example for that.
Okay, sir.
Most of the acute pancreatitis once, say like biliary pancreatitis,
Yes, sir.
once the gallbladder is removed, the initiating factor is removed, most of them can totally recover. It may not go to the chronic pancreatitis. As you said, if there is a permanent damage to the structure of the pancreas,
Yes,
like
sir.
in necrosing pancreatitis, and you've done a surgery or anything, they may go, some of them may not.
Okay.
So what I want to say is, when there is a chronic pancreatitis, there is a permanent structural damage, and also which can lead on to the exocrine deficiency and
Yes.
also the endocrine deficiency. See, these things may not occur in acute pancreatitis. Many of the acute pancreatitis may be a single episode of pancreatitis, and the pancreas may totally recover to the normal function, which does not occur in chronic pancreatitis.
Okay, sir.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Dr.
Ravi, that's
Nooli,
correct?
sir. Absolutely, sir.
Yes.
Very well put. Dr. Nooli, sir, you wanted to come in?
Sir. Indraja, my question is, okay,
Yes, sir.
think that you're in OPD now,
Yes,
and the
sir.
patient with upper abdomen rolling down with a lot of pain and everything, either in either peptic ulcer perforation or pancreatitis you are suspecting.
Yes, sir.
Clinically, how we will come to know which side it is, whether it is pancreatitis or perforation, clinically, on examination and by asking history, whether it is perforation or pancreatitis. Clinically, how we will judge?
Sir, pancreatitis, it is like sudden onset, sir. It is relieved by leaning forward, but in peptic ulcer disease, it doesn't, sir.
No,
No,
that
only
is
on that
only
on
one.
that you will only on that you will decide that it is
No.
pancreatitis or perforation.
No, I think Ajit or Saurav, you take that question. Is Hari there? Hari? Is Hari there?
He's there. Yes, sir. He's
Yeah,
there.
Hari. Why don't you answer that question?
Hello, sir. Sir, I didn't hear. I was in emergency, sir.
Yeah, how do you differentiate
Yes, sir.
between perforated peptic ulcer and acute pancreatitis when you see them either in your clinic or in the emergency?
Sir,
Clinically.
perforated peptic ulcer, clinically they'll have mostly they'll have guarding and rigidity, sir. But pancreatitis patient, most likely not, sir. And clinic history wise, they will have some radiating pain to the back, pancreatitis patient, sir.
Both of them
Perforated
can
patient will
have.
have, yes, sir, both of them, but mostly the pancreatitis patient can have, sir.
Okay.
And recurrent history will be having, sir, in pancreatitis patient sometimes, sir. That, but peptic ulcer they won't have.
Liver dullness, obliteration.
Yeah, I think that is what
Yes,
the obliteration of liver dullness and say, more guarding rigidity in acute perforated peptic ulcer rather than in pancreatitis. Pancreatitis in later stages you may get guarding rigidity, but not soon as soon as the patient presents to you. I think the other thing you have to say, sir asked very clearly in terms of history. Patients with peptic ulcer disease will have recurrent attacks of
recurrent attacks.
Belching, gastritis, postprandial fullness, and burning sensation, retrosternal burning, all these things which may be present, and then they may have a perforated or unless they have for example, patients who have taken lot of analgesia or alcohol or something which has an acute precipitating cause for an acute perforation. But pancreatitis starts all of a sudden without giving any notice. Patients will be perfectly well and then they suddenly have pain. And the differentiating factor, as Dr. Nooli wanted to know, was the presence of guarding rigidity, which is more common in perforated peptic ulcer compared to pancreatitis, and obliteration of liver dullness, which is again a very classical sign indicating perforated peptic ulcer. Okay.
Indraja, before you go to investigation, would you like to go for some paracentesis or something like that?
Sir.
Now, because I want to proceed now for the investigations. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you are telling battery of investigations I am seeing on the slide, but
yes,
clinically still the patient is on table.
Yes, sir.
I'm suspecting, I'm not understanding whether it is pancreatitis or peptic ulcer perforation.
Yes,
So
sir.
I would like to go for a paracentesis. Paracentesis, you know what is paracentesis?
Yes, sir. Draining of the ascitic fluid.
Not draining. It's not draining. Paracentesis. Anyone else, any senior PG can tell me about paracentesis? Diagnostic tool.
Sir, we take out the fluid and see for
Where
lipase.
from where you will see, where you will take out the fluid.
Left hypochondriac region, sir.
There are paracentesis. You have to, here there are different points for that, either in right iliac fossa or left iliac fossa, both paracolic gutters. We put a 10 ml syringe, you take, aspirate the fluid, look at the color of the fluid and smell of the fluid and send it for analysis also. If that will decide whether it will, by looking at it, you will come to know whether it is, roughly I'm telling, paracentic fluid you see, whether it is pancreatitis or a peptic ulcer fluid, send it for analysis. If you see if it is exudate or transudate, that will tell you a rough idea. Then you can go for further investigations.
Sir, Loli sir, that is a good
Yes.
point, but it is generally not practiced anymore because you have investigations very easily available at your fingertips in most places now. I think that practice is given up, and even diagnostic peritoneal lavage, which used to be done for trauma, I think even that is given up now because I don't think anyone does that anymore.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Continue.
Okay, sir. Investigations, it includes serum enzyme levels and pancreatic function tests. The morphology of the pancreas is seen by ultrasound or sees computed tomography and magnetic resonance imaging, and endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography. And it also includes brain radiography like chest and upper abdominal X-ray. In the diagnosis, it mainly the patient presents with abdominal pain with elevated serum amylase or lipase levels. The amylase concentration increases immediately within the onset of the disease and peaks within several hours. It remains elevated for 3 to 5 days, and there is no significant correlation between the magnitude of serum amylase elevation and the severity of the pancreatitis. With
Okay,
increasing,
just stop.
yes, sir.
I would like to bring to the notice of all the postgraduates and anybody who wants to listen, serum amylase, just like cardiac enzymes, go up at a certain time and comes back down on its own volition at the end of 3 to 5 days. So there is no correlation between the severity of pancreatitis and the level of amylase. So if the amylase levels are high, it just says that it is probably relating to pancreatitis, because there are other conditions where amylase does go up, but a very high level of amylase suggests it is most likely to be coming from pancreas. So that is all is the significance of amylase. And lipase is a much more sensitive indicator of acute pancreatitis, and high levels of lipase does suggest diagnostic accuracy coming up to between 95 to 97%. So one estimation of serum amylase and lipase is sufficient. Please do not repeat amylase and lipase because it is got no prognostic value, and it doesn't mean if the values have come down that the patient is getting better. There is no correlation between the levels of lipase and amylase because they will go up and come down on their own volition. I have seen gastroenterologists asking for repeated assays of serum amylase and lipase, which is totally wrong. So please do not repeat it. If the patient beyond 7 or 8 days is continued to remain symptomatic, then the patient has now developed complications relating to acute pancreatitis, then there may be a value for you to repeat amylase and lipase, but not otherwise.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, sir.
Then what is the significance of persistently elevated amylase?
Yeah, that indicates that there is either a complication, either a pseudocyst, pancreatic fluid collection, pancreatic ascites, severe hemorrhagic pancreatic necrosis, and things like that.
Okay.
So then in those situations, because there is ongoing destruction of the pancreas, the amylase and lipase levels may remain elevated. But otherwise, they usually go up and come down on their own volition.
Thank you.
Continue, ma.
Okay, sir. With increasing the severity of disease, there is intravascular fluid loss may be present that leads to the hemoconcentration and the elevated hematocrit. And there may be bleeding into the retroperitoneum or into the peritoneal cavity. In some patients, there is a bluish discoloration of the umbilicus, like Cullen's sign or Gray Turner sign, due to the bleeding into the facial planes. And because of the severe fluid loss, there may be pre-renal azotemia with elevated blood urea nitrogen and creatinine levels. In some patients, metabolic abnormalities like hyperglycemia, hypoalbuminemia, and hypocalcemia present. And assessment of the severity of the pancreatitis, there are various prognostic scoring systems are present to assess the severity of the pancreatitis, all aimed at predicting the persistent organ failure and particularly respiratory, cardiac, and renal failure. The severity stratification assessment should be performed within in patients at 24 hours, 48 hours, and 7 days after admission. The two scores like Ranson and Glasgow scoring systems, these are specific for acute pancreatitis. The score is 3 or more at 48 hours. It indicates severe attack. The Ranson score, it includes on the day of admission, it includes age, white blood cell count, blood glucose, LDH, and aspartate amines. And within 48 hours, we have to measure hematocrit, blood urea nitrogen, arterial gas, oxygen saturation, serum calcium, and base lipids. The Glasgow score, it has to be measured within 48 hours. If the score is 3, if the score is 3 or more, it includes the severe acute pancreatitis. And there are several other systems, includes the Apache, SAPS, SOFA, sequential organ failure assessment, and the MODS, multi-organ dysfunction syndrome, and modified Marshall scoring systems. If C-reactive protein level is more than 150 milligrams per liter at 48 hours, it indicates severe acute pancreatitis. Patients with body mass index of over 30 are at higher risk of developing complications. And this is the image showing sequential organ failure assessment score in acute pancreatitis. It includes partial pressure of oxygen and coagulation profile like platelet count and lefty and cardiovascular system and the central nervous system, that includes Glasgow coma scale and creatinine or urine output measurements. And a revised Atlanta criteria, it was appeared in 2013. It includes 3 groups like mild acute pancreatitis, moderately severe, and severe acute pancreatitis. Mild acute pancreatitis, there is no organ failure or no local or systemic complications. In moderately severe acute pancreatitis, organ failure that resolves within 48 hours, and the local or systemic complications without persistent organ failure. In severe acute pancreatitis, there is persistent organ failure present with more than 48 hours, and multi-organ failure also present. And BISAP scoring system, it is bedside index of severity in acute pancreatitis score. It includes blood urea nitrogen greater than 25 milligrams per deciliter, and abnormal mental status with Glasgow coma scale of less than 40, and evidence of systemic inflammatory response syndrome, and age more than 60, and pleural effusion. Each point is given to the each factor, and a score of 0 to 2 indicates low mortality of less than 2%. If score is more 3 to 5, it is associated with higher mortality, that is more than 15%. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Okay, Ajit. Ajit,
Yes, sir.
what is your take on the current status of all the scoring systems? What do you think we should do?
Sir, not sure, sir.
Okay, Saurav.
Sir, Actually, this scoring, so we can classify the patient's risk stratification of the patient can be done based on the scoring systems, and based on that we can probably, I don't know, sir. Actually, I don't know what is the use.
Mainly ICU admission, anything, sir.
Abdul.
The scoring system are usually to check the morbidity of the patient, usually in the ICU setup.
Not necessarily. See, this is how it is. See, the Ranson scoring system was proposed in 1974, and to a large extent, it has stood the test of time, and it is fairly inclusive. Only problem with this is that it takes about 48 hours for you to arrive at a score, and same with the IMRIS score, which is the Glasgow score. So those two are virtually similar. I think the IMRI score includes serum albumin as opposed to Ranson, which doesn't include serum albumin. So they are both still very good systems, and probably if you are evaluating acute pancreatitis, you still do them because many of these patients stay with you for a period of 48 hours. So you do a set of investigations on admission and then a further set of investigations at 48 hours, and then that will tell you whether the patient is in severe pancreatitis or mild pancreatitis. So according to the Atlanta, which is also added a moderate pancreatitis as well, depending on the the presence of organ failure, which only lasts for less than 48 hours. And there are newer systems that have come in, that is the BISAPS, which is a very good system, and it is bedside. You don't need any the high flying or complex investigations, and you can score the patient immediately. So the advantage of that is that if you know that the risk stratification leads to a severe pancreatitis, then these people are more prone to developing multi-organ dysfunction, acute renal failure or ARDS and things like that. And you nurse these patients in ICU as opposed to the ward. So that is the advantage. So that is the criticism that many people leveled against the other system, which is the Ranson and the Glasgow system, because it takes 48 hours. Sometimes clinical assessment will tell you that this patient is likely to be severe and you shift them directly to ICU. But many of them evolve over a period of time. So it is very difficult. On the other hand, BISAPS is well correlated. They have now got good studies which compared Ranson scoring and BISAPS and Apache scoring and everything, and then the Marshall multi-organ dysfunction score. And they have shown that the BISAPS grading does stand up very well against all the other scoring systems. So I think BISAPS scoring system is coming into vogue more and more, especially because it is done on admission and it's bedside only. You have a chest X-ray to see if there is pleural effusion, which again can be done on the bedside anyway. So that is the current status, is that still you do the Ranson and the Glasgow scoring, and you can also do Apache scoring, especially if the patient is shifted to the ICU. But then BISAP scoring, and then there is another PANC3 scoring, which is similar to BISAP scoring. And actually our own Meghana did study comparing the three and showed that BISAP scoring is the best among the three as of now. And we even published it. But because the numbers were not great, we didn't get published in the major one, but it was still published in the International Journal of Surgery, which is pretty good. So that is the current status. Ramakrishna sir, anything to add?
Ravi,
Yeah.
can BISAP score be used to follow the patient?
BISAP scoring?
Can it be used to follow the patient?
Yeah, you can. Because as soon as you grade them as severe, you then shift them to ICU, then you monitor them like you do any other patient.
Can this scoring system be used to follow the patient daily?
And what
To
happens?
assess the prognosis.
No.
And the response to treatment.
Yeah, what happens is, what happens is your initial job is to try and stratify the patient, whether the patient is mild or moderate or severe.
Yeah.
Generally, once you know they are either moderate or severe, then you have other things like real urine output, urea creatinine, blood gases, and then all these things which will help you to monitor them anyway. So it is only for risk stratification.
Okay.
Ramakrishna sir.
Yeah, nothing, sir. Everything is fine. In mild cases of acute pancreatitis, probably nothing is required. Patient
Correct,
just they
correct.
recover in 2 or 3 days.
That is
Such
why,
cases only we manage. And in
that is why,
ICU setup, it is required.
no, that is why BISAP grading is very useful because it is just done on the bedside. It only uses chest X-ray and things like that. So which makes it very useful for us to grade and as well. Dr. Noli, sir, anything to add?
I was just wanted to ask the madam, tell me the evidence you have put as the evidence of SIRS. What are the criteria SIRS?
Sir?
Systemic
Systemic.
inflammatory response
Yes, sir.
syndrome.
Yes, sir.
What are the
What are
factors
the
in SIRS?
What
yeah
are the signs and symptoms
criteria?
of SIRS?
Anyone else?
Abdul? Come on, man.
Indra?
Sir,
Hello, sir.
Ajit, yes, tell me.
fever,
Hello, sir.
tachycardia,
Ah,
tachypnea.
hmm.
The patient will be hypoxic, sir, will require O2.
No, you
No,
are
no,
just telling
the
whatever you are.
Sir,
There is set criteria for SIRS.
yes, I'll tell,
yes.
sir.
It
Sir, there are 4 points, and in that any 2 or more, it is considered SIRS. It
Okay.
is, I think, a temperature more than 38 or less than 36,
35. Yeah.
and tachycardia more than 90.
Ah.
Then
Tachypnea.
respiratory rate more than 20, and white blood counts less than 4,000 or more than 12,000.
Or in presence of immature band forms
Or
greater than
presence of
10%.
immature band forms, yes.
So when you have this is SIRS, and as you said rightly, any 2 of the 4. And if you do blood culture and if it goes an organism, then it becomes sepsis.
Sepsis.
Okay, right. Okay, you should know all these things. At least you knew that. Good. Okay, ma'am. Continue.
What is the cause of low WBC count? Less than 4,000?
Anybody?
Certain infections will cause reduction in WBC, like typhoid fever, sir.
How? That is what he's asking. See, either the infection is so overwhelming that it is consumed all the white cells, or it can cause suppression of the marrow.
Bone marrow suppression.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Why there will be?
Yes, sir.
Pleural effusion in pancreatitis?
So it will be
due to.
Hello, sir.
Why will there be pleural effusion in acute pancreatitis?
Transdiaphragmatic lymphatic blockage.
Sir, because of the inflammatory mediators that are released into the circulation, that
Right, continue.
Okay.
Dr. Nooli has already given the answer. In addition to the fluid accumulation in all tissue spaces, which can happen in the peritoneal cavity, it can also happen in the pleural cavity. There will be flooding of the periphery, so you have edema. In addition, there will be lymphatic blockade of the. Sir? Nooli, sir. Your answer
Yes,
was.
sir. Yeah. It is due to transdiaphragmatic lymphatic blockage, sir.
Blockade also. Okay.
Yeah.
Indraja, is it a? Sir, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Indraja, the pleural effusion, is it a transudate or an exudate, or it can be both in acute pancreatitis?
Exudate only, sir.
What does the lymph contain?
Fat ma. Okay.
Fat. Sorry, sir.
Continue. I think it can be both.
It can be both, sir. Yes, sir.
It can be both. Initially, it will be transudate. Later, it will become exudate. Okay.
Okay, sir.
What is the cause of bleeding?
I forgot. Shrikant has asked a very good question. What is the cause of bleeding in acute pancreatitis?
Sometimes erosion of the pseudoaneurysm, sir.
No, that is late, man. Initially, see, pseudoaneurysm has to form. It will take you
Yeah.
between 6 to 8 days, something like that. But you can have hemorrhagic pancreatitis straight away, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What is the cause for that? I think Srikanth had already mentioned this in the previous class. I remember it. You are not remembering it. This class is mainly meant for you, not for me. Srikanth, ಹೇಳಪ್ಪ ನೀನೆ. You had already told.
ನೀನೇ ಹೇಳಪ್ಪ.
Allah, you had told last time.
No, tell.
Anybody?
There are peripancreatic vessels involved in bleeding, sir, because of inflammation.
No, but why should they be?
Elastase enzyme, sir. You had spoken about that last.
Yeah, correct. So basically it is activation of the enzyme system, and then there will be, digestion of the elastase of the vessel wall.
Damage of the capillary walls.
Damage of the capillary walls, and that causes bleeding. So that is the initial cause for bleeding. The vessel walls become weakened and then form pseudoaneurysm, and that can rupture and cause bleeding. That can be catastrophic. That is the second week. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Continue, ma'am.
Okay, sir. 1 minute. Got
What happened?
it got stuck.
Touch the screen and press next.
Yes. And imaging and X-ray chest and erect abdomen, these are not diagnostic of the acute pancreatitis. There is non-specific findings include ileus. It looks as sentinel loop and colon cutoff sign. And chest radiograph measure pleural effusion. In severe cases, there is diffuse alveolar interstitial shadowing, suggest acute respiratory distress syndrome. And ultrasound.
Okay, just a minute. Wait.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go back. Yeah.
Yes,
Saurav, what is the cause for sentinel loop and colon cutoff sign? It's a very popularly asked question in the exams.
Sir, because of the inflammation, there will be a localized ileus of the duodenum, sir.
Okay.
And
that is causing sentinel loop, is it?
Yes, sir.
What is the cause for colon cutoff sign?
I'm not sure, sir.
You should have put the X-rays of these two.
Yeah. You should have put the X-ray. Abdul?
Sir, sentinel loop sign, I think it is a dilatation of a segment of small intestine because of ileus, localized ileus. And colonic cutoff sign, I think it involves dilatation of large bowel, segment of large bowel.
No, if it is dilated, then it should not be cut off, no? Why is it cut off?
Spasm, sir.
Spasm.
No, I don't think it's spasm. Who said spasm? Who said spasm?
Sir, Hari, sir. Sir, it's because of inflammation, spasm of colon, maybe is the reason I was thinking, sir.
No, it is certainly due to inflammation in the, because transverse colon is very next to pancreas. So when there is intense inflammation in that area and flooding of that area, because opacity of this inflammation and the fluid in that area, you cannot see the gas that is there in the colon, and that is the reason for the colon cutoff. There is no spasm. I don't think there is any spasm.
Yeah, both are due to peripancreatic inflammation.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
You just need to apply your mind to it. That's all. Okay. Continue.
And ultrasound, it does not establish the diagnosis of acute pancreatitis, and sometimes in ultrasound the swollen pancreas may be seen, and it should be performed within 24 hours to rule out the acute cholecystitis and to see whether common bile duct is dilated or not. And CT, it is not necessary for all patients. There are some indications where we are going to do contrast enhanced CT. It is like if there is any diagnostic uncertainty, are in patients with severe acute pancreatitis to distinguish between the interstitial and necrotic pancreatitis. And patients with organ failure, like signs of sepsis or progressive clinical deterioration. When there is a local complication is suspected, such as fluid collection and pseudocyst, we can do contrast CT.
No. I
Yes.
think you have totally confused what you are saying here.
Okay.
Can anyone
I think
elaborate
CT
on
is
what she just said?
necessary for all patients nowadays. Even mild
Anybody?
pancreatitis.
Saurav, can you just go through this slide and explain what actually she had to say?
Sir, a contrast CT is indicated in when we are uncertain about the diagnosis. In patients with to distinguish between the interstitial and the necrotizing form of in presence of necrosis, we can detect better in CT. That's why in those cases we have to do CT scan.
No. You are
Sir,
just reading it out. See, what I wanted you to say is that CT scan is not indicated in all patients, especially as Dr. Ramakrishna said, about 65 to 75% of our patients fall in the category of mild pancreatitis. So when you stratify them as mild pancreatitis, you don't need to do CT. So that is the first statement you have to make. Second statement is majority of the patients, you know what the diagnosis is. In some patients, there exists diagnostic uncertainty. Is it pancreatitis or is it something else? Is it a perforation of an organ? Is it mesenteric ischemia? Is it something else which is, when there is a diagnostic dilemma, you do an CT in the first 24 to 48 hours after admission when there is no clarity as to what the diagnosis is. So that is the main thing. All of you understand that CT is not indicated in the first 72 to 96 or even 5 days after the diagnosis of acute pancreatitis.
Okay.
You do acute CT after that period because pancreatic necrosis can be better assessed at that time, because if you do CT in earlier, it will underestimate the extent of necrosis. So you need to do it at the right time. And the other thing is, if for example there is infected necrosis, again CT scan will very clearly show air pockets within the necrotic tissue indicating that there is infected necrosis. So for all, and also the extent of pancreatic fluid collection, presence of pancreatic ascites, ductal disruption, all these things can be better stratified or classified after a period of 96 hours or so. So which is why a CT scan is only indicated after 5 days. So as a corollary to that, majority of the patients with mild acute pancreatitis would have got discharged by that time. So you don't waste CT scan unnecessarily on many patients. Okay, so that is the main message you have to give from this line.
Okay, sir.
Continue.
Okay. And CT severity index, it includes grading of the pancreatitis Balthazar score and pancreatic necrosis score. In Balthazar score, it includes we are giving normal pancreas and enlarged pancreas and inflammatory changes in the peripancreatic fat and ill-defined single peripancreatic fluid connection. If two or more poorly peripancreatic fluid collections, we are giving score 4. And pancreatic necrosis, if there is, we are giving scoring based on like none and less than or equals to 30% is 2, and greater than 30 to 50% we are giving 4, and greater than 50% 6. The maximum score that can be obtained is 10. And the CT severity index, it is the obtained with Balthazar score and pancreatic necrosis score. If it is 0 to 3, there is we are like mild acute.
Hello, who is presenting? Just
Yes,
go on, don't go on reading. Show
sir?
in this thing, scan, what are the findings you are seeing there? You are showing the image now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you show the finding and what are those things, edema, hemorrhage, all those things you show in the CT.
Sir, this is mild. This is the image.
Or like if you
mild
don't know, if you are not sure, let the senior PGs or registrar tell. It is not, don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on, tell us what it is.
Yeah, tell us what it is. If you don't know, there's nothing to worry. Let the seniors will tell. What is that?
So this is the pancreatic image showing mild acute pancreatitis, sir, with necrosis.
There is no necrosis there, ma. It's just
Mild
edema.
and the necrosis.
Edema, sir.
Just edema there.
Nodda. See, that is important.
Peripancreatic fluid.
Yes.
Just there is a bit of fluid layering over the pancreas. That's all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let any senior also tell us.
Come on, Saurav, explain the below one.
So the pancreas is so there is a presence of peripancreatic fluid with edema, and a few speckles of calcification can also be seen, I guess, sir.
Where is calcification, man?
Sir,
Sir, is the duct dilated, sir?
No, that is just extravasation of the contrast. See, there is
Okay, sir.
also fluid around in the Morrison's pouch, perirenal fluid. Again, layering of fluid in the subphrenic space, under the liver. There is dilated colon, and again fluid present all over. So there is a bit of necrosis here. You can see near the tail. That is necrosis.
Okay, sir.
So these are the things. So this is mild, and this is probably
fairly severe pancreatitis.
severe
Yeah.
pancreatitis. Okay, continue, ma.
Okay, sir.
There is no point just putting up, as Srikanth said. See, you have put the pictures for you to explain them. Otherwise, what is the point of putting the pictures?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
And imaging endoscopic ultrasonography and MRCP can help in detecting stones in common bile duct and assessing the pancreatic parenchyma. And ERCP also allows identification and removal of stones in the common bile duct in gallstone pancreatitis. In patients with severe gallstone pancreatitis and there is signs of ongoing biliary obstruction and cholangitis, then urgent MRCP should be we have to do.
ERCP.
Yeah, sorry.
RCP first and then ERCP. Yeah.
And this is the image showing the normal pancreas with normal pancreatic duct. And in this, there is a dilated pancreatic duct due to the stones in the pancreatic duct. And in severe pancreatitis, there is a very dilated pancreatic duct and there is large stones in the pancreatic ducts. Shall I continue, sir?
So already coming to 10 o'clock. How many slides are there?
Sir, still 15-20, I think, sir.
I don't think we can complete it. So we will have to do a next class for that.
Okay, sir.
So,
Okay, sir.
Srikanth, your comments and this one so far.
Yeah, good presentation. Nothing to
Dr.
do, but
Noli,
again,
sir.
don't go on reading the slides. that's all.
Okay,
Yeah.
sir.
Dr. Noli, sir. Your
Indraja,
And when you are reading, if you don't know anything, write
Yes,
it
sir.
out, and you can ask here.
Okay.
I didn't understand that. I didn't
Okay.
understand this. You can also ask here.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. Noli, sir.
Indraja, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Very much.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
When you are telling about these X-rays, plain X-ray abdomen,
Yes, sir.
experts were asking you about sentinel loop sign and colon cutoff sign.
Yes,
All
sir.
those things are you should know, Amma, because they are all available in Google.
Okay, sir.
Understand?
Okay.
There are standard questions in the exams.
Exams.
So
Okay.
when you put in your slide, say for example, evidence of SIRS, okay,
Okay, sir.
or we ask you what are these signs on X-rays. These
Okay.
are all available, and you should only answer them,
Okay, sir.
because this is not separate language or anything like that. Everything is available on net now. Am I
Okay, sir.
correct?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes,
So
sir.
what you should do, we will give you time. For example, now management we are postponing,
Yes, sir.
okay, because time is short. Like that, we'll discuss again. Plenty of time is there. So if you don't know your own slides,
Okay, sir.
that is not good, no? Whatever you have put, every single word you should know, according to me.
Okay.
You
Absolutely,
can't
sir.
say that, it's like dictionary, those words, if you don't understand. Now, Apache, what is the long form of Apache? Like that, you should know.
Okay, sir.
And when the signs come, who invented them? Who was the scientist? When he told us, all those things we should, out of curiosity, at least we should know.
Okay, sir.
So you can't just put on the slide and just say, no, I don't know, let seniors tell. Everything you can't tell seniors to tell. No. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Don't take it seriously. It is my
Oh.
just suggestion.
No,
Okay.
no, no, sir.
Okay,
Take it seriously, sir. You have to take your whatever he said has to be taken seriously. That is a gem.
If-
That is a gem that has come from you. Absolutely,
Yes, sir.
you
if
hit the nail
possible-
on the head.
If possible, get those two X-rays, the colon cutoff sign and
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll-
next time.
and show it.
Those this one are also available images. You can
Yeah,
download them.
next
put
class
it
you
in
show
your
them to
presentation.
everyone.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Ramakrishna sir.
There are 100% slides
Yeah.
in the exams, Viva.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Ramakrishna
Yes,
sir.
yes, sir, yes, sir. She presented well, barring those few comments Dr. Noli
Yeah.
was telling. That I agree absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing is, whenever you put an investigation, you should tell when it is required. That is more important because clinically, when we are managing the cases, a particular investigation, there are certain indications. Only those cases we should do the investigation, and what are the findings you are expecting, how it is going to change the management.
Okay, sir.
So that part is very important. Just enumerating all the investigations becomes difficult because one of the slides I saw, acute pancreatitis, you said investigation required, ERCP. Actually, ERCP, I don't think investigation wise it is required. It is only for therapeutic purpose.
Therapeutic purpose.
When one of the earlier slides, you have put that as an investigation.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Yeah.
For diagnosis of acute pancreatitis, ERCP is not required.
Okay,
Correct.
sir.
Only when it is a therapeutic option, like what in this last slide you showed.
Yes.
Those definite indications you must mention, and you should know what are the pros and cons, what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, how it is going to change your management. That is
Okay.
more important. Should be little more practical than theoretical. That's one.
Okay, sir. Okay.
You should also put the significant levels of amylase, lipase, C-reactive protein, D-dimer.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. And students, anybody? Abdul, you want to comment?
Yes, sir. Sir, Indraja, from what is the source of this information? All the slides.
Billion love.
The Schwartz, sir.
See, you have to put recent papers. We have been telling that you have to put recent paper. Whatever is there in Schwartz is 5 or 6 years old.
Okay, sir.
You have to put recent paper, and when you are speaking, you should not copy paste the entire lines like that. It should be just one word, and you have to talk on that word.
Okay, sir.
That will help you in presentation on the stage.
Okay.
Just the one word should be on the slide. One or at least 5 words should be there. You have to just looking at that word, you have to speak
Okay, sir.
about that slide.
Okay,
You
sir.
cannot just copy paste and read the entire thing from the slide.
Okay.
Yeah, Bailey and Love, Schwartz, Mango, and
Yeah.
recent advances.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And next time management put the algorithms of acute pancreatitis.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay.
See, I think this presentation, Indraja, I'm sorry to say you have gone back. You have cut and paste. You have not understood anything. I'm being a bit more harsh than what Dr. Noli was, but you have
Your
to
first
understand.
year,
First year, oh,
all first year should take the assistance of the final year and registrar.
correct.
Okay.
So you
Before
have
presenting.
to learn to elaborate on your slide rather than cutting and pasting it. You should understand, as Dr. Lakshman keeps on telling all of you, I have kept on telling all of you. See, we have not come here to listen to something that you are speaking. We want to ensure that you have understood what you are talking about. So that is very important. So as sir has pointed out 2 examples, you didn't know what sir says. You didn't know, a lot of things like that. So, you should know exactly what you're talking about. I think that is very important. If you don't know, ask your seniors, ask me, ask anybody. Ensure that you know. You should be the most informed amongst everybody in this class. Okay.
Okay, sir.
First year should always show to the registrar before presenting.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Otherwise, the slides were good. I think the information contained is very good. I think it's just a question of elaborating all the slides properly. I think we will discuss about the management because it is a significant topic in its own. Acute pancreatitis, for the benefit of postgraduates, it's still a killer disease. You have to be very vigilant. You have to be very careful. To have a high index of suspicion, and especially in stratifying the disease severity and managing them either in the appropriate setting, either in the ward or in the ICU. Okay. We'll discuss the management in the next class. Yes, sir.
Sir, 1 second.
Yeah.
Sir, how many of our postgraduates attended the ASI program, sir, the other day?
Yesterday, I think our PGs attended. I asked a couple of them, they said they attended.
They were very excellent, sir, both
Yeah,
videos
yes,
as well as presentation.
yeah.
We will encourage all these people we request to attend, sir,
So
because
that
they
is
are
why
very helpful.
we have cancelled. My class would have been on Wednesday. Because
Yeah.
of the ASI program, we have postponed it to Thursday.
It was very good, sir. You asked
Yes,
them to attend compulsorily.
I couldn't attend because we had the EC meeting yesterday. Otherwise, I would have attended
Yes,
it
sir.
myself.
Yeah, it was very good, sir. That's why.
Okay, right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good night,
Thank
sir.
Good night,
you.
Good night,
everybody.
sir.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good
Thank you.
presentation, good moderation.
Shrikant, thank you, Pa.
Thank you.
Thank you.